Have you ever loved someone so deeply that you were willing to change yourself, your clothes, your words, even the way you planned your life, just to feel like you were enough for them? Only to realize, in the end, that no matter what you did, you would always be compared to someone who wasn't even there anymore. That was my reality with Emily, and it became one of the hardest lessons I've ever learned about love, self-worth, and letting go. I met Emily at a friend's barbecue about 18 months ago. It was one of those summer evenings where the air felt warm and light. The smell of grilled food mixed with laughter, and everyone seemed to glow under the fading sunset. That's when I saw her. Emily had this vibrant energy about her. Not just her looks, though she was beautiful, with an easy smile and eyes that carried both warmth and mischief, but the way she carried herself. She spoke with such sharpness and wit that even small talk seemed alive. When we were introduced, she joked about how I was holding my drink like I was nervous to spill it, and within minutes, we were laughing like old friends. We discovered we both loved the outdoors, hiking, camping, spontaneous road trips. She told me about a time she climbed a mountain in the rain and how it was both miserable and magical. I told her about my own failed camping trip where everything that could go wrong did. The way we connected that evening was effortless, and by the time the night ended, I already knew I wanted to see her again. From there, things moved fast. Within weeks, we were going on hikes, exploring little towns nearby, and making plans for bigger adventures. By the third month, we were officially together, and honestly, it felt perfect. The first 6 months with Emily were like something out of a movie. We were inseparable. We'd spend weekends driving to new cities, walking hand in hand through unfamiliar streets, trying food we couldn't even pronounce, and staying up late laughing about everything and nothing. Sometimes we'd lie on the grass, looking up at the stars, imagining all the places we'd travel to in the future. With her, life felt brighter. I started to picture what a long-term future with her could look like. But love has a way of revealing truths slowly. At first, the cracks were so subtle that I didn't even notice them forming. It started with offhand comments, tiny remarks about her ex, Daniel. The first time she mentioned him, we were in the middle of cooking dinner together. She smiled at the way I chopped vegetables and said, "Daniel always used to tease me about how bad my knife skills were." I laughed it off, not thinking much of it. After all, everyone has a past. But then, it happened again. And again, she'd bring him up in the middle of conversations. Little comparisons that didn't seem like a big deal at first. The way he used to plan surprise trips, the way he dressed for dinner, even the way he phrased certain jokes. Sometimes she'd laugh at something I said, only to add, "Daniel used to say that too, but in a funnier way." At first, I brushed it off. I told myself it didn't matter, that she was just reminiscing. But slowly, the mentions grew sharper, more deliberate. It wasn't just about Daniel being part of her past. It was about him becoming part of our present. I remember one evening clearly. We were getting ready for a weekend hike. I was packing snacks into my backpack when she said, Daniel used to pack these amazing trail mixes. He always thought ahead about energy levels and all that. She laughed lightly, but something inside me tightened. It wasn't jealousy, exactly. It was the feeling of being measured against someone I'd never met, someone who wasn't even in her life anymore. That's when I started to change. I thought maybe I wasn't enough. Maybe I needed to step up. So I tried harder. I swapped out my clothes for styles I thought she'd like. I paid closer attention to how I spoke, how I planned things, how I carried myself. I tried to live up to this invisible standard, but the more I tried, the more I realized it was impossible. Daniel's shadow was everywhere, looming larger with each passing day. There were nights I lay awake beside her, wondering if she was really with me, or if she was just trying to relive her relationship with him through me. I wanted to believe I mattered, that I was enough on my own. But doubt has a way of eating at you slowly, until it becomes unbearable. The breaking point came one ordinary evening. We were sitting on the couch, talking about plans for the weekend. I suggested going somewhere new, a little coastal town I'd heard about. She paused, smiled faintly, and then said it. "Maybe you should learn from Daniel. He really knew how to handle things like this." The words hit me like a punch to the chest. She didn't mean it harshly. I think it just slipped out casually like so many of her other remarks. But for me, it was the final straw. Something inside me snapped. In that moment, I realized I wasn't really in a relationship with Emily. I was in a competition I never agreed to, a competition against a man who wasn't even there anymore. And no matter what I did, I would never win. Because this wasn't about me being inadequate. It was about her being unable to let go of her past. I looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time, I saw the truth clearly. This wasn't love, not the kind I deserved. I told her, as calmly as I could, that I wasn't going to live in someone else's shadow, that I deserved someone who loved me for who I am, not for how closely I could imitate someone else. She looked shocked, maybe even guilty, but by then my mind was set. So I ended it. Walking away wasn't easy. I won't pretend it didn't hurt, because it did, deeply. Emily had been such a big part of my life for over a year. Letting go felt like tearing out a piece of myself. But at the same time, as I walked out of her apartment for the last time, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Relief. It was as if a weight had been lifted off my chest. For the first time, I could breathe without comparing myself to someone else, without feeling like I was coming up short in a game I didn't choose to play. That night, I sat alone in my apartment, thinking about everything I'd gone through. And I promised myself something. The next time I fall in love, it will be with someone who sees me, not as a replacement, not as a comparison, but as enough, exactly as I am. Because love isn't about measuring someone against the past. It's about building a future together, one where both people feel seen, valued, and cherished. If you've ever found yourself in a relationship where you felt like you were competing with someone's past, know this: you are not a replacement. You're not a shadow. You deserve someone who loves you fully for who you are. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever experienced something similar? Share your story in the comments below. And if this resonated with you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more real stories, and share it with someone who might need to hear this today. Remember, your worth isn't defined by anyone else's ghost. It's defined by who you truly are.